just to go back to last series a little bit. So Huma last week had 11 of 12 bans aimed at the top lane, either theirs or against them.
Yeah.
This time we've got Morsu against Wirlib in the top lane. If ever there was going to be a game for top lane bans, like, this is it. So maybe we might just see top lane bans all the way down. I've said that. Got to get Suno's Twisted Fate out.
Yeah.
It is a pick that he is exceptionally strong on. We've seen it a couple of times outside of the Challenger series. And if you ever kind of looking through featured games on EU West, you'll see him crop up.
Yeah,
And
always
like, oh,
attached to the
Suno's playing
Twisted
Twisted
Fate
Nice.
icon. Yeah, he didn't really get it in the qualifiers either. People just did the scouting. It was like, oh, he was good in this and other regions, we'll take that away.
Yeah.
Jax banned out in this one against Wirlib. Makes sense. It was his huge champion in the LCS. Banned out last week against him. He literally 1v9'd in some games in the LCS, literally just to win games with Jax. So taking that one away, Poppy, Astor will round out the bans from Huma.
So where does that leave us on our last ban? Fiora is the last ban. So there's a lot open. Tahm Kench is up. Graves is up, that we've seen banned a lot. The likes of... Corki is up. Man, that is such a big factor right now. The fact that Corki has been such a strong mid lane pick and an AD carry pick as well. Week 3 of European LCS, we saw it so prominently in the mid lane. Teams like Gamers2, or G2 Esports now as they're known, doing a very good job of utilizing that Corki in a siege poke kind of composition. So that could be an option for Huma for their first pick.
Yeah, it definitely could be. Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen in the top lane, because rewind a year ago, everything was banned out against Morsu, but he's got a lot to choose from. First pick of Kalista. Now, we have seen this before in like the LCS, where you prioritize like an AD carry for like a big carry on a team like Niels, for example.
But there is one place that this pick alone, in that spot on first pick, is very reminiscent of. That's the kind of pick that whenever I'm watching LCK and Kalista makes it through the bans, a team just goes, okay, just give me Kalista. I want our AD character to do well, we'll get a very solid matchup. You know, Kalista in against most lanes does very well. There are a couple of exceptions that are kind of fringe cases that we don't see too often. But getting this Kalista, you've got the opportunity for the likes of... okay, Alistair's gone, so it's not that. You've got the opportunity for like a Thresh, that kind of setup that we've seen with Kalista. So there's still a lot to play for Huma. I don't know whether I like the Kalista priority with the likes of like Graves available. And they let it go over to SK. I don't think it's a mistake. It just now a lot is on Holy Phoenix. If there's one guy that can make that work.
Yeah, I was literally just going to bring that up. Like, Holy Phoenix, okay, he didn't turn up last week, but it's Holy Phoenix. Like, we've seen what he can do on a world stage. And also in the qualifiers, he was ridiculous. Hovering over the Misfortune, I'm not going to see that, but that was one of the champions he did really well on. And also factor into the count, he's against Vardax. Like, Vardax has not shown up in the LCS, has not shown up in the Challenger Series, and if you're going to put any priority, you might as well put it on Holy Phoenix, who can really get ahead in this game. The response, though, from SK, Tahm Kench have to assume again that's on Morsu with the Graves, as you already mentioned. So, again, sticking to that one champion.
Yeah, although Tahm Kench, this is 6.2, so keep in mind Tahm Kench did have a nerf to his ultimate when it comes to the added damage he gets from his the bonus health. So it actually got halved at every rank and lower at overall. It's now 6%, which was the rank 2 previously.
Yeah, TLDR 468 has moved to 246. So at max rank you only get the
not quite half. My maths is bad.
Yeah,
it's good.
Close
it was
enough.
Like vaguely
it's fine.
It's fine.
But that's the Corki that you were talking about. So Corki probably going to be thrown in the mid lane, with Kalista being picked up, of course. Nidalee, though, as an early lock-in is interesting. Elise has not been picked up. Slight nerfs in 6-2, but not enough to stop it from being played.
So I quite like the Nidalee. Fairly mobile, is able to kind of get away from fights with the Graves. You have a fair amount of control. The problem is, if Graves catches you and manages to land that Q before you jump away, that's dead Nidalee. Like, Nidalee overall as a champion is not one that I'm keen in team compositions, but I think for a jungle matchup, it's evident why she's very strong. So I can see that's why Huma are looking for it. With the Corki, with the Nidalee, wouldn't be surprised maybe to see a Braum come in here as well.
Yeah, I prefer it in the composition. Up against Graves, if you land a spear, you don't really always want to go in on it, because if you jump into him, it's like, oh, there's a wall somewhere near me and I'm dead. So, yeah, kind of difficult in the 1v1, but still. SK picking up the Braum against the poke composition. Makes sense, stand in front of the poke, try and block that for some of his other carries. They've already got Graves from the jungle, so going to be somewhat squishy there. And then Tahm Kench in the top lane. Vardax picks up the Lucian. And just waiting for the response from Huma.
Yeah, it's not going to be Maokai. Like, we haven't seen Maokai in so long.
We have in the Asian regions, though. There's been multiple games in LPL and LCK.
I must admit, LPL is...
They lost mostly.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
I was tracking because I was like, Maokai's back? And it's like, oh, okay.
Okay. Well, I'm not expecting it. Looking at top lane picks right now into the Tahm Kench. Last week, we saw a Sion top, actually, out of Huma. There is the Gnar available, should they want it. Looking at other top lane solid option. Whoa, okay, it actually gets locked in. Okay, so you said you've seen it in LPL, seen it in LCK, haven't seen it in a while in Europe.
Yeah.
So Maokai, good engage potential, reliable engage potential. Problem is it doesn't always go that well in a poke composition, which with Corki, with Nidalee, you've kind of set up for that already.
Yeah, it's interesting. From what I've been seeing, the builds are pretty much the same. Still seeing Righteous Glory, which is actually not an item we see very much on top laners anymore, and Maokai's are still building it in the Asian regions. So I just want to see what he builds, really.
Yeah. I guess the thing about this is Tahm Kench now with the reduced damage may not be a particularly bad matchup.
Like, I think Maokai wins top lane against Tahm Kench.
Okay.
Like, Tahm Kench will not be able to, like, he can lick you, sure, but when he gets in range, you arcane smash him away.
Yeah.
Like, I see ways in which Maokai can win that matchup, but at the end of the day, they're both tanks.
Yeah, and that's what I mean is, like, I feel like you're at least going to go even in that setup. Like, I don't think, especially now with the reduced damage, you're not going to get punished too hard. SK round their composition out with the Orianna. So this is a fairly just standard pick. I don't feel like it's going to be able to punish the Corki at almost any point in the game. Corki's just going to out-trade in the laning phase. Mid-game team fights are going to go Corki's way as well. It's only that late game if somehow you catch him before he Valkyries or pull him back in with the Shockwave in team fights. A little bit kind of tentative at the ability for SK to get onto Godbro. Yeah. If ever Godbro is in a comfortable spot back in the back of a team fight, he can just send out damage left, right, and center as much as he wants.
It's so difficult to get into a good fight as well because like you need like the Tahm Kench to take the Braum on like an abyssal journey, go in, pop up, and then it's like now Orianna puts the ultimate. It's like all these things have to come together, and like the enemy has to be in the right place at the right time. It's so hard to make it work, but yeah, I can see it. Like the picks in response were good. I want to see how the Orianna gets her ult off.
So Ori will bring a decent amount of wave clear when it comes to the ball and dissonance being used. They also then have the Graves, the Lucian to clear out. So Huma may have trouble stepping up to turrets here, but then they've kind of brought a Maokai to say, well, as long as we're ahead, we can go past the turret. I mean, that's kind of the game plan, is like siege until they're ready to dive, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about like this kind of half siege, half diving composition.
I kind of like it into the Orianna though, because like all her damage is AoE, and Maokai pops his ultimate, and then just like a lot of that is mitigated. Yeah, we just have to see when we get into game, really.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is now that you've got somebody to kind of protect from your other threats, because you've got obviously a lot of damage that's going to come from Nidalee, from Corki, Kalista, and the Maokai is kind of there as a big tank, and it's just like, well, try and get past me.
Well, there are the full compositions right here. The Maokai being locked in from Huma. So yeah, jump on Twitter, tweet at LOL Esports, get the hashtag votes in, HMAwin and hashtag SKWin for who you think is going to take home this game. And something I never thought I would see before is Morsu on Tahm Kench and Whirler playing Maokai into it in the Challenger Series. I just never thought I would see that interaction ever happen. I didn't think Morsu was ever going to play anything other than carries. But here we are, Stress. A whole new world.
A whole new world, and 2016 season, Europe has its first Maokai. I'm kind of happy to see him back, mainly because he's like, if he's in a decent spot, he is the kind of champion you can play in solo queue and just wreck people with.
He is the champion who got me to Diamond the first time. So.
I thought that was Ica. Anyway, SK Gaming at this point have spread themselves out just like Huma. That was an in-joke that was not fair for me to bring out on podcast.
Salty gold players, man.
Oh dear. It begins. It begins.
It has begun.
One thing that .go has done that we have seen fairly commonly now on junglers like Graves and to some extent Elise, you'll see them opt for a pink ward on their first buy. So the reason for this is you're actually not a jungler that drops low on health, so the extra 2 potions, while they're kind of nice, you can get so much more added value out of clearing an area of vision, just making sure that you have an easy gank path or can prevent some kind of all-in. And you can see it's already gone down in the river on the right-hand side, just outside the dragon entrance. So this is SK just trying to secure their lower side jungle, make sure there's no invade coming out, and they will be able to clear around the jungle pretty effectively like that. At this point, though, it doesn't look like there was going to be too much aggression. Maokai did, however, drop the saplings, got the small raptors, and is backing away.
Yeah, Graves is one of the few junglers who doesn't drop low in the jungle, as you mentioned. Same with Elise, and it makes it very difficult to invade on him or go near his jungle because he's going to have more health than you, is the TLDR. Santorin has a fairly fast jungle clear as Nidalee because there's a lot of animation cancelling you can do as you go through the jungle, swapping forms, etc. But you don't come out of the jungle very high health.
Yeah, you do not. But one thing that has come about in this matchup is the lane swap up to the top lane. You can see, however, Jesui Cass seem to maybe donate actually the experience over to Kalista.
Yep.
So only just hitting level 2 now. Morsu's going to head bottom lane. So this 2v2 at the top lane, I feel like it was Holy Phoenix and Jesui Cass calling that this was a lane swap from Vardags and Unlimited. Or at least that's how this is starting to play out a little bit more. If I was Vardags and Unlimited, I would probably want to lane swap as much as I can. Just from how poorly last week's went. That 2v2 was not impressive last week at all.
And it just meant they got into the mid game and just couldn't do anything because they'd already been wrecked from the laning phase. Dotgo, he's still heading through his jungle and will be heading towards his red buff now. Actually skirting around there, so maybe just a little wary of a potential Santorin invade, but Santorin's only in the river now taking the crab.
I like what Godbro did there. At least I think it was Godbro. It may actually have been Santorin dropped a trinket ward up over the raptors. Nobody's ward is on cooldown, which is throwing me on whose it actually is, but drops it over on the raptors.
Whose ward is it anyway?
Spots out Dotgo on the raptors, gives you the very easy, very clean information that that is exactly what Dotgo was. So all that tells the top lane is that careful, Graves could be up there. If he doesn't show anytime soon, he's probably recalling and going bottom.
In that mid lane though, Godbro just gone for the corrupting potion up against Suno here. That is a lot of damage. Fast bomb doesn't land on the end of that though.
You do not want to trade in that kind of range against Corki that's running Thunderlords. Corki is one of the few champions that really wasn't hit particularly hard by the Thunderlords changes in 6.2. Keep in mind, Thunderlords now, you have to stack it within 3 seconds for it to proc, not the 5 that it was before. Corki's Gatling gun does it very quickly, but bottom lane is our first engage of the game.
Morsu's dropping low already, has to go into the Greyhound, flashes over the wall, and Dotgo is there to zone them away. Spear will come across, does not connect onto Morsu as he waddles out of the fray. Now he'll head into his jungle, so... Oh, almost landing. Held my breath for a second there.
He's like, well, I'm just going to dodge right back down into the skill shot. But got away with it.
Yeah.
Didn't have a lot of room. But if you visualize that, he's standing with his back against the wall, kind of Indiana Jones style.
Yeah. The dart trap.
Just goes straight past him.
What was really nice in that trade, though, from Werlib is he used his Twisted Advance, haven't said that in a long time, underneath Morsu's lick, so he didn't get the stun off, and then because he's untargetable while doing so, they managed to CC him. Had the lick landed first and he was stunned, that wouldn't have happened in the first place.
I will be watching out for more interactions of Maokai Tahm Kench lane that I was not expecting to see.
Yeah, well, it's funny, because I know all these intricacies of the tank matchup, but in competitive, it doesn't really matter because they never drop low enough for there to be kill potential. But in solo queue, it's like, I can get one more minion wave, and then they stay and you all in them. So.
Yeah, well, luckily, it's competitive. It's not solo queue right now. So luckily, we won't have that. Well, theoretically, sometimes you see people greed for a wave, but that doesn't happen all that much. So already first recall for Godbro has come back. Sheen's been picked up. Again, another instance of like, try and trade against this Corki in lane. Okay, not anymore. He now just Sheen procs on me every time. I mean, yeah, Orianna has a shield. She has a fair amount of damage in her kit and empowered auto attacks, but Corki's damage is insane right now from that mid lane. So I imagine that's a matchup that should stay in Godbro's favor. Look at the CS lead that's opened up already. 14 CS up on Suno.
Doggo was thinking about coming down, and that was a really nice read from Morsu, actually. Santorin still staying in the bottom lane, just trying to get something off, and Doggo heading down. So pushing Santorin away for now, but they still know he's around the area. If anything, he'd just be taking Krugs. Nice sapling being set up from Whirlib. Actually placing it one in that side brush as well, in the river, just stopping those ganks from coming in. That's actually really nice, because being on the bottom side of the map means you can block off that entire area, so there's no good gank route for Doggo to go through apart from in lane. And lane ganks from Graves, did you know, don't really work out very well.
No, they're not the best. He's kind of runs in and goes, hey, wait for me. But Whirlib got eaten at this point. Morsu has the grey health, though.
Morsu does not have flash, however. Doggo for the counter gank. Whirlib's not going to take the end of the line damage from the second run, and he'll just try and get out of here. He's good to go. And ultimately, ganking these big tank lanes is very difficult, especially after their first backs.
And this is the third time in 7 minutes that we've seen the junglers be in this bottom lane, at least. I mean, there's been so much presence put on these lane setups where... Oh, Hook has landed top, though.
Vardags has to jump away here, but it's still being chased down by Holy Phoenix. He's trying to get the last auto off, but Unlimited is able to get the stun down from the concussive blows. And now we'll head back with Stand Behind Me to that minion. In the bot lane, the 2v2 continues with the junglers and the top laners.
I'm just kind of looking at that top hook, and it's hooks like that that ended up costing last week the lane matchup for SK. Like, that's a hook realistically that Cast should not be able to hit. It was above 3/4 of the max range, and like, it just is in a laning phase situation where you have minions as well. It's not like he's flash hooking you. You're not slowed by anything. It's that kind of situation that's kind of disappointing to see that hook land. I mean, half of that you could say is good job, Cass, for landing the hook.
Sure.
But the other half is like someone's got to get hit by that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was totally true of last week as well, specifically when we had the Trundle games where the pillars were just always landing on top of Vardags. It was okay because he usually had the champion with a dash, so he could just get away from that. But in this game, if you're hooked, you're CC'd, and Cass can easily follow up on that. Unlimited taking away the pink just in the river here, denying some of vision. And I believe Godbro is going to head back. He's got a decent wave advantage in the mid lane, just about 1 minion wave. Should normalize as Suno also heads back. And bot lane and top is also ahead. Whirlib is actually significantly ahead. Package hype.
Oh yeah, time for the package. So, past 8 minutes, Huma have their first opportunity to use it. Now, what is kind of curious at this point is that Godbro's picked up the package very early on. So, a lot of Corkis will kind of try and time it so that their second package coincides with the Trinity Force. So I expect him to actually sit and wait for the second one now and not actually use it until it's ready. So this package, he's probably not going to get too much from. This one's probably just going to be a getting back to lane faster.
Fan vote, though. 89% over to Huma. That's what I would have said in week 1 as well. But, but then Millennium happened, so yeah.
Santorin and Doggo are pretty much just mirroring each other all the way through this game. Every single time they're in the same lane, the same situation. Hook onto Unlimited.
And he's only level 5 as well, does not have the ultimate for disengage. Tries to get the SQ damage off here. Godbro over the wall, the package pays off. First blood into the mid lane on Corki, and Vardags may go down as well. Whirlib teleporting in from the bottom lane. That's the second kill going over, and he's so tanky. He can take so much damage from this tower. Now he's chasing after Doggo, flashes forwards into end of the line. Suno rotating from the mid lane, but he's just too late. He can't 1v5, and the Pierce comes out with a Ren for the slowdown. And now Suno, there's nowhere he can go. It just needs a little bit more CC. He is chunking down Huma, but Godbro, he just needs a couple more rockets to land. This is the slowest death in history. But what can Suno do? He's not going to get the kill off. And Godbro finishes him off for an unofficial ace at 10 minutes into the game.
Man, that was such a good and such a well-timed fight from Huma. The package special delivery was timing out as Godbro used it. It was the exact last second he could have used that ability to get himself up here for this fight and get into the kill range on Unlimited. Easy kill for him to start this one off. And the teleport from Morsu, knowing the package was available, was a little bit late. I think if Morsu was alive here, as Godbro comes in, it's a twisted advance, and you hold him in place under the tower, and he dies. Problem is, Morsu's late to the fight. The rest of whom have turned up. Whirlib is strong enough. Sorry, it's Whirlib that's on Maokai. So could have licked him. A little bit more difficult there. Not quite the same amount of crowd control. And then Suno kind of just gets whittled down towards the end. But TLDR, I think it was a little late on Morsu either way.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if you're trying to interrupt a Maokai and you don't have the stacks on him to begin with, you're not going to get the Devour off. However, he did get the Devour off onto Sancho, and if he lands the lick as well, might be able to pick up the kill, but the team is there.
I will actually give Morsu a little bit more benefit of the doubt now that I'm going back on it. Whirlib's in trouble though.
Yeah, he pops his ultimate, but he's a pretty dead tree.
Yeah, the other thing about Maokai lanes is Maokai can interrupt very easily.
Correct.
So if they're in a laning phase where they're against each other, I'd have to go back and check the replay.
Yeah.
Maokai just interrupts and then teleports out and is like, see ya!
And what can Morsu do? Yeah, exactly. If there's no stacks to start off before the trade, it's difficult.
Yeah. That's a tough fight. But nevertheless, really good fight for Huma.
Yeah, very good fight. That being said, Doggo now on the Dragon because of that bottom kill to onto Whirlib, and they took the bottom tower, so it was good reactive play from SK. Clawing. Okay, that was a very difficult word to say for a second, yeah.
Wow. Better hope there's no Lissandra in this game.
No, I know.
Like,
Glacial Path.
Just nobody pick Lissandra. Pulse will be okay for the rest of the day.
Otherwise, I'm just going to tilt for the rest of the day. But, we have 6 games to go, so.
Well, Huma don't seem to be doing any of that today. Unlike last week, they were a little bit shaken against Millennium. Huma have come up strong with a good early fight. Interesting, Suno picking up Swiftness Boots early on Orianna. So normally you'd see the first item completed and then boots. So he's just like, I just need to get to lane. Like, I absolutely have to get back to lane, try and farm as much. You can see he actually closed the farm difference and now got a very slight lead of his own, just from being able to get back into lane quick enough. Another change that happened while we see Huma waiting around in the bush on 6.2 is the AP item changes when it comes to Morellonomicon, which is what Suno is going for. And also the Athenes. Drop in recipe cost by 150 gold. Take that and the changes to Frost Queen's Claim, which was an increase in the cooldown on the active. TLDR, probably going to see a lot more Athenes and Morellos rather than Spooky Ghosts.
Correct. 60 seconds to 90 seconds.
Yes.
So
it's a fair increase.
It does a lot, because before it was like, do I have it up? If yes, I'm going to hit it. Because I'm probably going to get someone's flash.
Because that was always a good thing, right? Is even if you don't get the flash, you get the kind of...
the knowledge. Yeah,
the knowledge. Like, it's not quite vision. It's not vision control, but it's just like... I don't know, like ESP. You're just like feeling them out with psychic powers. It's like, sonar. Probably the best way of describing it rather than psychic abilities. Look, I'm just trying to make a little more relatable, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah.
You just turn into Jean Grey. Starts.
Well, like the sonar thing is already kind of taken by Rek'Sai, I guess.
That's true.
There is a very deep pink ward that we just saw from SK in the jungle, and Santra's going to face check this brush. Has to jump out unlimited with the CC and the lockdown. The final auto to get off the stun from concussive blows. Holy Phoenix will jump to safety and not going to tag him with the Winter's Bite as he travels back to his Jesui Cass. So nice kill by SK getting these picks. There's been 2 picks now from SK despite that horrible teamfight top lane.
Yeah, and another situation where Doggo and Santorin are on the same part of the map again, like just tracking each other all the way down. So Santorin was trying to just secure a bit of vision control and ends up falling from it. Morsu's stuck around in this bottom lane though. He is kind of just sitting out behind the turret. So not opting to use his TP for anything. Oh, he's going in for the engage on Holy Phoenix.
The Abyssal Voyage comes up and Cass is split, but the TP's now coming in, and maybe Huma can turn this around. Whirlib's there and has the CC onto Unlimited, and Doggo pops the eventual Maelstrom, and Doggo's going to go down as well. Morsu, I don't think he has the damage even to kill the support as he goes into Grey Health. He's going to flash after, misses the lick. There is the triple kill in for Holy Phoenix. That could not have gone worse for SK.
That really couldn't have gone worse, and that's a real tough situation when you take that 3-on-2. If Holy Phoenix and Cass feel confident, Kalista Thresh is that kind of duo lane where you can kind of roam around and just go 2 versus 3. As long as their opponents haven't got that massive crowd control to lock down the Kalista, you just hop around. This is the beginning of the play. Holy Phoenix is so mobile right now that even with like 3 people chasing him, look, he's untouched this entirety, and the fight changes here. Willib shows up, Holy Phoenix goes, I don't care about Morsu anymore. All I want is these 2, and then we turn on him. Je suis Cass just takes Morsu's time away, and suddenly Tahm Kench has got nothing left. Even tries to flash forward. I don't think he had the damage, even if that flash connects. Like, I don't think the Q auto follow-ups is enough.
They couldn't get onto Holy Phoenix even at the start of that fight. That was one of the big problems. Like, Morsu is never... Like, if he doesn't land the lick, then he's not going to get anything else after that. And Unlimited wasn't able to get in range. It was just... It was doomed to fail from the get-go.
You know how we just saw Godbro kind of package
yes.
his way? I believe it was the package he used there in mid lane. Since it's called special delivery, is that like where they leave a note for you where it's like, you were not in for your shipment?
Maybe.
Your package has been delivered to your neighbor.
Is that what happens when it expires?
I think so. Okay. It's like, yeah. So he's got to use it, otherwise.
I see.
Mailman Corki.
I think this is breaking down a little because he did collect the package. It just went like stale or whatever.
Right, but that's what happens. Like,
okay.
Yeah. Nevertheless, sieging is the name of the game for Huma at this point. Godbro and the rest of Huma have this kind of composition. They're looking to dive if SK are low enough. That's what the Maokai is here for. That was a nice spear.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a prediction, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of assumed there would be someone there, but still, yeah, good spear by Santorin.
But you can see the strength of Huma's composition to be able to sit 4 here. This Willib provides the protection now for Godbro. And Holy Phoenix has only just joined the team. Like, they didn't even need him in this situation to be advancing forward. Morsu's still top lane, has teleport, but he's in a position right now where he actually doesn't offer much when he teleports in. He can get a bit of crowd control, but SK is so low that it's not like Morsu being there turns the fight around. So his actual teleport options are fairly low right now.
In this 5v5, I don't think SK win, even underneath this tower, because this tower is almost dead. Like this, on this next wave, it's going to take maybe another third of the health off, and then you wait for another mini wave and it's gone, and Unlimited just pops his ultimate, maybe to try and zone them. The Valkyrie comes backwards, and Huma, there's no real reason for them to leave. They just wait for the next minion wave, and the tower is gone. Pretty much everyone from SK has to back off from being chunked out from the poke in from Santorin and Godbro.
Yeah, man, they're just grinding down SK right now. Like, every single wave is just like, okay, well, we're pushing up. We know we've got Triforce Sorcerer's Boots on Corki, so this is his time to shine. This is everything that the comp from Huma wants to do. And honestly, this is why I would expect to see Corki banned in so many of today's games. And just this week in LCS as well. He's such a strong mid lane pick right now. I mean, you even heard, I believe it was Mithy talking about it on the analyst desk. He was like, this is like the strongest pick. It's broken right now. So if it's not banned in most games, I would be really surprised.
It's insanity, but this is not the only reason Huma are ahead this game. Holy Phoenix is going ham, 3-0-3 on that. However, SK have kind of spoon-fed him. He kind of just jumped into fights and he just kited them all day.
Exactly, like all of Holy Phoenix is extra worth, because he'd already established... Well, I don't want to say he hasn't done anything, because he established himself a lane lead, which was a great start to the game for him, but all of his kills came from that Morsu play on the bottom lane, where Morsu and DotGo took the dive with the Abyssal Voyage. That's where the triple kill came from, so that's him kind of outplaying in teamfights, which is kind of cool, but at that point Godbro had already got himself a bit of a lead, so this is actually just a much stronger all-around performance from Huma than we saw last week. Like, that to me is the key thing. Last week everybody was kind of doing poorly. This week everybody's kind of doing well. So
this is just what I expected though from Huma as they came into the Challenger Series, because in the qualifiers they were so good. They just absolutely wiped the floor with Illumina Honor Gaming. And then in week 1 it just looked like a different team. If you turned off the name tags, I wouldn't have thought it was Holy Phoenix or would have been the top lane or even Godbro on Lissandra. It was just it just wasn't the same team.
Yeah.
Yeah, Holy Phoenix definitely got those mechanics this week. Is not short hopping into opponents this time.
Well, our observers were kind enough to show us a pink ward down on the bottom side, which is the kind of pink ward that isn't gaining them anything right now. I mean, this is a pink ward that can become useful.
Yep.
But you know Huma are in your top jungle, and you've seen them in lanes, so it's this situation where it's like, good ward, for when you're ahead, when you're trying to siege bottom. But that's not what SK are going for now, and they've had their own wards in the top side jungle cleared away. You can see there's kind of a almost a rhombus of pink wards in the top lane for Huma throughout the jungle, just securing total control.
Yeah, that's one of those wards that skews your stats, so it's just like, wow, that was the best ward we've ever seen in Challenger Series. It stayed alive for the entire game.
It's like that ward that I think Splice had against Fnatic that lasted like 8 minutes in the Baron pit, the blue trinket ward. Yeah, that was...
There was a Freddy ward in top lane where he just stuck it in the bush and left it there for like 50 minutes.
Abyssal Voyage is going.
He's going
straight through the lane.
This is away from the tower, and this is open ground, and SK are split up to start the fight. HMA will just pull everyone backwards,
Good
regroup, the backline gets dragged in, but it's very little damage. The front line is getting chunked, however, from Huma, but now Godbro and Santron join the fight, push SK away from the tower. They're going to wait for this mini wave to come in, but bot lane needs Wirlub's attention. He has teleport.
It was a really good shockwave, though. I think Huma would have been able to have continued this fight if that shockwave hadn't have landed on 3 or 4 people. And Huma managed to get the tower in the end, so... the result is a swing in their favor, but that may give SK a little bit of hope when it comes to their options now. Difference between that fight and the next potential fight is Godbro has just got special delivery up again. He can collect the package, not if he gets caught though.
Has to flash out. The concussive blows did not proc off, which probably would have dispelled his doom, as all of SK was coming in. Just sweet cast, that feel when you have to jump to Baron to escape. And he's gonna put a little bit of damage onto Fresh.
He lost like a quarter of his health rather than all of it.
That's good. That's a good trade, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of ingenuity, though. Well, I guess at least like experience, being like, well, this is an escape. This is a good sign.
The hook. It didn't seem like the minion was there. It was just behind the turret, but it was. And it's just weak.
Oh, he caught him!
Godbro gets caught out, and he doesn't have the flash. He'll jump back to Cass, who will save him with the Dark Passage. And SK almost getting a pick there, but ultimately they just lost a lot of resources for it.
It looked like SK weren't expecting that to hit, though, because there was no instant call to go in. It was like, oh, it hit. Okay, let's try and land some damage, which is fair. I mean, to catch Corki out of his Valkyrie with a shockwave is... not always expected, but Suno's done it once now. I think you can kind of expect it perhaps to be an option that SK will be thinking about a lot more.
But if you see the animation go off, that's just a team trust issue. Like, you know, they just like fail in trust classes. Like when they don't fall over backwards.
I mean,
know there's someone there to catch them.
Okay, that's one side of that. The other side of it is though, SK have brought in 2 Korean players, and the same thing always applies to any region that you bring players from other countries in. Language barrier can be an issue. If Suno, and I'll be honest, we don't have any insight onto how good Suno's English is or Doggo, so it's not something we can conclusively say, but there is the room there for there to be a kind of a mismatch on team instructions on that point. If Suno's not like, I'm going for the shockwave, clearly that could be an issue.
Very true. And
I'd be interested to find that out, though.
Yeah, like
from
SK. What usually goes well for teams who have language barrier issues is like if they have good instincts, and Unlimited currently being pulled into Huma, maybe a pick-off here, and he'll block the final spear coming out. But that is 1 member chunked away from this tower as the minion wave is a little ways away, so Unlimited should be back in time as the next minion wave hits, and the saplings come across. But yeah, it's just about staying in sync. Like specifically for Emperor, whose English is not great. The way he plays is very, quote-unquote, predictable. It's very easy for like a support to play with him, as Crepper was saying from just his solo queue game. So when you have players like that who have a style who mesh very easily with others, then it can work out. But yeah, if you're just like a big play player, where it's just like, I'm going to make this fantastic shockwave, you don't know if it's going to hit every single time.
Yeah, just to clarify, Emperor, the G2 LCS player.
Correct.
Just, for those of you perhaps that maybe don't watch
No, not the Emperor of Shurima, Azir.
That too. That would be a very difficult language barrier. He'd just stand there cooing at you for about an hour. But there is no shortage from Huma of siege potential. They're just continuously going forward, moving forward with this game. Again, they've still got a lot of pink wards in the top side jungle for SK. I believe Godbro is going to do his bit and clear out the Baron pit of that blue ward. This is what a lot of teams actually we were kind of breaking down some of the EU LCS games from last week, and this was an area where they really struggled with these kind of compositions of sieging and, you know, pushing forward, always looking to be grouping in front of towers. Is if you don't clear the vision around the larger objectives, then there's no real threat of you going for another objective or viable option. If all they can see is just their mid lane, you have so much more scope to be transitioning between lane or into an objective like the Baron.
Dotgo is going to scout out that Baron and sees that HMA are not on it currently. I did ask in Champion Select, I wonder what Whirlip would be building. He's gone for the Rod of Ages, which used to be the greedy solo queue build that you go if you don't need the engage. And really in this game you don't, because you're just sieging towers and the extra AP and tankiness is absolutely fine from Rod of Ages. Rod of Ages is such a good item ever since like 524 from the extra stats you get from it. It's just incredibly efficient. And people were like, well, it's not going to work out because the games are so fast nowadays. But if you get it early on, you can actually get it fully stacked. Like right now, Whirlip's Rod of Ages is fully stacked, and it's in a good place. So currently, Whirlip is just this big, tanky front line who actually has a decent amount of AP, and those saplings in a poke situation onto the squishies, every little counts when you're running like a Corki and a Nidalee for extra poke.
That's fair. I'll also keep in mind, I don't know how much this really plays into it. A long time ago, like 522 and the patches previously, Righteous Glory just had nerf after nerf after nerf.
Yeah.
It did have one slight buff in the middle, but it was readjusted, mostly on the cost, and the health was reduced. So Baron goes over to Huma.
So the counterpoint to that would be, even though the base stats were hit, the active itself did receive one nerf.
Yes.
But like the use is different. Like if you still need the engage, you will go Righteous Glory.
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
don't need the engage, then you will go like Rod of Ages.
Yeah, just a little bit of added context.
Yeah, for sure.
On the difference between the two right now. But Huma, they've got Baron, which means SK are going to struggle to clear this, because without the Graves and the Lucian really powering through wave clear, like the Lucian using his ultimate, Graves stepping forward to queue the wave, it's difficult to clear these minions.
They managed to clear that minion wave because Huma were not in position to punish them accordingly. In this next wave, it will be very difficult. Morsu was able to just walk up and grab that minion, but now the tower's going to get chunked ever so slightly, wave after wave at the very least. But with the 5-stack of SK, this is actually not too bad.
No, it is the 5-stack. The problem is, Huma could be looking to put Whirlip to top lane. Like, Maokai isn't the best split pusher when you look at it. And honestly, I don't know whether that's the right call from Huma to keep him mid lane, just because I think the rest of Huma are fairly confident at staying alive. Like, there's no real dive threat coming from SK aside from an Abyssal Voyage in from behind. And we've seen it fail a couple of times already.
This tower is slowly dying though, and
yes,
it's just Suicast sitting in front of the minion. So Morsu and anyone who has range attacks can't actually hit that minion. So as long as they stay here, that tower will eventually die.
This is nice by just Suicast.
No!
Oh, just Suicast couldn't even punish it.
He didn't block correctly, man. It was all on that minion. He'll have another one in a couple of minions waves time. But either way, I think this tower's eventually going to die. Good shockwave onto the backlines there, but Whirlip's already gone for the engage, and Godbro is there to support him. Holy Phoenix with a support instantly drags in Vardags. That's not a good position to be in, and now everyone is just dead from SK. And Holy Phoenix wants to pad out his KDA as well. He's going to dive the fountain if he has to. Morsu will also drop as Huma closes in for the win. Holy Phoenix, he's still after him. He still wants him.
He's just doing a lap of the base now, just trying to track him down. But Huma have looked in control since the first minute of this game. They got to the lanes and just went, okay, we're going to win lanes and then win the game. SK had a small flourish, but it just wasn't enough.
A dominating performance by Huma to finish off the first game of the day in this best of two, and SK just rolled over and died.
They did. That was a rough game from SK, and I mean, I'm still happy to see Morsu on tanks.
Me too. Yes. Keep doing
But it's still not in the place that it needs to be for these CS games. Like, that's being quite frank, is like the engages with decent attempts in the bottom lane with the Abyssal Voyage. Problem is, I think that's too much to put on a Tahm Kench's shoulders to make that engage work. Without any real solid follow-up, very tough to lock down a carry like a Kalista, like a Corki.
It really feels like Morsu was playing to like save his damage threats on his team. Like there was a couple times where he like picked up Dotgo and he saved a couple of people. Didn't work out in the top lane, but that like the idea was there rather than being like proactive and trying to make things happen. And was just kind of like a devour bot, but. Yeah, like it's there, but the carries weren't able to do enough. Like Vardags is always being shut down in lane. Suno is like pretty much the only person who's always consistently doing okay in his lane. And then Dotgo, we've seen Lee's and Graves games.
Yeah.
And he's gotten a decent amount of damage, but he has to go all damage and gets popped.
And that's the problem, right? Is that Tahm Kench is a very selfless champion that you have to realistically have other champions doing well, so you then devour. Very rarely do you see a Tahm Kench get uncontrollable and he's the one killing everybody and doing all of the damage, especially not now on 6.2 that he's had nerfs. So you have to reliably know that your AD carry is going to do well, and your mid lane is going to do well. The problem is they give over Corki, they give over Kalista to two players that are going to do well on those champions, and Suno and Vardags are just like, these are really tough lane matchups. I really wish we didn't have these lane matchups.
Yeah, well, that's something they have to keep in mind for the bans in the next game. Specifically, Corki, I don't think you can ever let that one through in the current patch, but that is game 1 locked in, but the series isn't over yet, so make sure you join us after this short break.